Welcome, Reema, and welcome everyone to this episode of eLearning Interviews. Our guest, Reema Lodha, is a learning experience designer and an instructional designer with nearly 2 decades of experience. She has created engaging learning experience for children and adults across the IT, banking, telecom, automobile, education, and healthcare sectors. She holds an MSc in chemistry, a PGDHRM from Symbiosis, and she is a certified master trainer facilitator. Working as both a freelance consultant and a principal ID, she has extensive experience in writing, presentation design, handling curriculum, and managing SME relations. Thank you, Reema, for joining us today.
Thank you, Suchitra, for having me here.
So, Reema, what is your typical workday like? What tasks take most of your time?
Okay, so being an independent consultant, I have the privilege of working beyond 9 to 5. I don't adhere to the 9 to 5 timeline. I work at my own convenience, and my typical work day depends on the projects that I have in my hand. So I have one primary project which I full-time work for. That is I am a consultant to a not-for-profit. Where I help them with their learning and development needs. So I'm looking after their LMS, the implementation of the LMS, the features over there. It's a Moodle LMS, and how the courses have been put up over there. I work along with their the management to help in developing the women-centric program designing. It's all on women entrepreneurship, and that's my primary role. So every work day, I begin my day by giving them at least 4 hours of my time. And I don't work for full time. I don't pick up any projects for 8 hours. I did it in between, but I went back to my old way. So 4 hours is what I give to them, and the remaining 2-3 hours I use that for other projects. Of multiple projects, like even if it is just doing RISE development or a storyline development, or just writing some content on a slide, anything and everything I work on it. That's how my day is planned.
So, from an MSc degree in chemistry and a PGDHR, how did you become an ID?
Okay, so that was an accidental instructional designer is what I am. After I finished my master's in chemistry in 99, in 2000, early 2000, we had moved to Delhi, and I was preparing for my exams to become a lecturer and continue with my PhD. I used to be a hardcore academician. IT world was not very prevalent at that time, and then suddenly it's just through a family friend came across that NIT KSB. At that time, NIT KSB knowledge solution business was #1 in e-learning industry, but I had absolutely no clue of what the term e-learning is. They hired me for their smart school project, where a world of academicians were all over there, and I helped them develop chemistry courses for Malaysian government. So it was an interesting project. Plus, NIT KSB has used to have a very great onboarding program. So the instructional designing boot camp is what they used to call it, which was conducted along with your on-the-job training kind of a thing, and it really gave you the principles of what is instructional designing. Plus, the people in that organization, our seniors, were like amazing instructional designers. Even though instructional designing world was very nascent at that time, I'm talking about 2000. But I had the privilege, I like to call it the golden era of where I got a chance to work. And thanks to my master's in chemistry and thanks to the Malaysian government for having a project called a Smart School that got me into the world of this. And I have not decided to become a PhD or to do anything. I'm very happy with what I'm doing here.
So, how does this your educational background help you in your current role?
See, having some kind of educational background, um, I think it helps in processing the knowledge that I'm having, how to tune to the processes. So, with me having a chemistry background, uh, if people of the chemistry would be able to relate, that when we do experimentation, we are left on our own. We are just given the objective of what you have to do with the experimentation, and you have to complete the experiment, prepare everything, and come out of it. So that really helps you, because in our instructional designing world, you get to know the objectives, what the client wants to attain. And then you put in your hard work, you put in all the details around it, and then you come out of it. Having said that, I think many people in the organizations are successful even not having a master's degree. I don't know, it worked for me. If it works for others, it's well and good. If it doesn't, then that is also great.
So, you are a learning experience designer. How different is it from instructional design?
Okay, so this term learning experience designer, I had chanced upon it when I got a project in one of my freelancing project. I just thought that it was some fancy term, and I really liked that term because anything fancy really hits you. When I was in the corporate world, one of my organization actually gave me a designation of leading edge designer. So I assumed it was something like that. I will be doing normal instructional designing work.
Yeah.
But when I actually went inside the project, I realized no, it's a very, very different world of learning experience designing. It takes instructional designing beyond. There is a major mindset change. I should say that you have to make a major pedagogy reset in the way that you are working in. Learning experience, like you are now not designing instructions. It's not one training program or a training module that you're referring to. You're actually designing an experience for the learner throughout, like from day zero till today. So how their experience is happening. As soon as this term experience come into the picture and you start looking at things from the perspective of developing experiences which enhances learning, immediately you start to think about beyond click next to continue. So you start going to develop things which are more participatory rather than passive. Even if something passive you develop, it is still beyond that module that you're going to sit and take in a classroom or you're going to take it on your computer. For example, if you are teaching a process to the learners, you can just create a small pamphlet or you can convert that into a screensaver with the processes and just hang it somewhere. The pamphlet can be hung in an office in the area where there are the maximum footfall, maybe the cafeteria, maybe just when you enter your workstation, or maybe just as a screensaver. So every time you pass by, you're looking at the process again and again, and unconsciously in your mind, you are getting those inputs. You see, when you look at developing a training or a learning which is beyond instructional designing, I'm not looking at one module. I'm looking at various means, way to make an experience come together. There's a lot of conflicting data available online where some people refer to that learning experience designing and instructional designing is interchangeable. But as I shared with you my views, I believe there are two different sets. And as an instructional designer, we need to change our mindset and start looking at things from creating a learning experiences perspective.
So, elaborating on this, if a video had to be created, how would an instructional designer do it, and how would a learning experience designer do it? If the end product is the same type of material.
Yeah, like the example that I took for. So probably if I'm chosen to be an instructional designer, probably I might have ended up creating a 3-hour module or a 4-hour module, a workshop and a supplementary modules. I may not have thought about going to create some kind of experiences beyond that. It's just that the term inspires you to change your mindset. Probably some instructional designers are still doing that without using the term learning experience designing, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just the mindset change that breaks into, and it really helps you to look into different ways of creating the output.
What do you want to do next? What is your career goal?
Okay, after so right now, I mean, not right now, I've been working on it for quite some time now. I wanted to, so teaching is something which is very close to me. I have been a form of teaching. Like when I was even in school, I used to give tuitions to little children after school hours. And I used to part-time teach in playgroups. And then during my master's program, I used to teach in schools, the primary section of the schools and all. So teaching has always been very close to my heart, and that's how I could really get inside instructional designing also. Um, so I have this. I'm coming up with something which in future will help the teachers get equipped to be comfortable in this VUCA world. It's constant changing. Today we tell the teachers all of a sudden overnight that you come online and you start teaching everybody online. Then you go offline and you start teaching everybody offline. Now, in this sudden change of the world, we are questioning the teacher's proficiency. It is not, nothing is wrong with the teaching field, you know. So I want to equip them with instructional designing philosophy, learning experience philosophies, to help them so that they can enhance the teaching experience. And I really want to put it out over there. I don't want them to transition to instructional designing world. I don't want them to leave their education, the schools and the institutions and the universities that they are teaching, because they are really needed over there. But they can just get the tips and tricks so that they can quickly jump into the online and the offline world at the drop of a hat. That's something which I'm coming up. I'm already in talks with a couple of people. So I guess time will tell.
Yes. And you've been both a freelance and a principal ID. So what are your tips on becoming a freelancer and also growing within a company?
Very good question. So for me, the growth in the organization was majorly because I let my work speak for itself. I'm one of those silent workers throughout the organization. I believe in a lot of hard work, coming from again from a science background and with a master's. So I've spent like 6 to 7 hours diligently in labs. You have to keep repeating your experiment till you get the final output. And so that kind of hard work, the persistence, perseverance has been within me. And in organization, that has really helped me. Even though I used to enter the organization on time and leave it on time, never sit back late. As we discussed that I was not too great with small talks. but you can still grow in the organization once your work speaks for itself. The only disadvantage that I found in organization was, apart from your instructional designing, the domain skills that you have, it is mandatory for you, if you start growing, to acquire resource management, to acquire people management skills. And maybe it's not everyone's forte. For example, for me, I used to get too much drained when I had to create those Excel sheets of how the planning is happening, and to plan the people, the talents around in the organization for a project. I believe some of them do a very great job in it. I like to restrict myself to the hardcore content. And it gets more difficult when you're growing higher in the ranks. Completely depends on you as an individual. What is your skill set? What are you good at? Choose that, and you will really grow in the organization. So I moved out of a full-time role and I moved into freelancing because I had more choices. I had more opportunities to build on my expertise. And the 13 years that I had spent full-time on the top MNCs really, really helped me in my freelancing world. And the growth in the freelancing world is your integrity. If you're true to the work, it's really, really helps you. Again, I would reiterate that it's always your work should speak for itself.
Sorry about the disconnect. We are back now. Reema, you were saying about being a freelancer?
Yes, I believe I completed that. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, that's all right. So you worked in various sectors, from IT, banking, telecom, automobile, education, and healthcare. How different is it from one sector to another?
Only the content is pretty much different, because when you go to the healthcare sector, you mostly work on practice management software or the content which is related to those healthcare sectors. The telecom, where you work with the servers, the networking tools, and all. It's just a familiarity of the content in the different sectors. But otherwise, if they come up to you to ask you to build a leadership training program, across sectors, the leadership training program would more or less remain the same. So I mention those sectors in my resume most of the times, because the people approaching me, my clients who are approaching me for development of their work, they feel more comfortable if you're aware about the content within that sector.
Yeah. And you have also been in projects for children as well as adults. So how different is it to make the switch from let's say K-12 to corporate learners?
See, actually, if you understand the core principles of learning and how to ensure that learning is happening, it's very easy to switch between different learner profiles. So in K-12, you have the liberty to give them more character-oriented situations. You can have more exciting and engaging looking graphics in there. When it comes to adult, you really need to tone down a bit on the graphics and the zazz part of it. You need to be on the point. You need to understand and be very respectful and mindful of the adults who are taking up the sessions or the training programs. That's something that you need to keep in mind. And there are a lot of principles which has already been laid out. Like you can just go through them, how to teach young children, how to help them acquire the knowledge. Mostly using relational details really help children acquire knowledge when it comes to designing the pedagogy for them. When it comes to the adults, you more or less need to focus on relating things which is already what they have experienced. Move on from there.
So could you give an example for both K-12 and the adults when you say that you have to relate to what they have learned?
Okay, so I pick up from maybe from any sector.
Yeah.
So for example, if I'm looking for creating a short module for the students. So for example, they are learning some concept of soap making or something like that. So I can have a character called as Bubbles, which comes out and talks to them about how the entire manufacturing process of soap works, how the things are related to that. It can make some bit of excitement to the children. And you can ask them that you soak some water into this, add some different types of detergents, powder, maybe a powder, a liquid one. What difference do you see? So those kind of detailing I can put. As soon as I'm teaching soap making to adults, I don't need to make them do all this experimentation. I have to be to the point. Why are they learning soap making? Probably they are learning soap making to make it part of their profession. Maybe they want to become an entrepreneur and sell soaps in future. So from that aspect, I'll bring to them what is the process of soap making. These are the different areas of soap making. And probably I'll give them links for them to go and research and try and pick up things, on their own, because they are adults and they will enjoy doing it in that manner.
Yeah. And what other parts of e-learning have you made? Like maybe other types of learning materials? Because when we think of, generally when we think of e-learning or instructional design, we only think of WBTs or video modules.
Yes, I have come across this often that people relate our work to be only the digitized version.
Yeah.
But it is really more than that. And I really I love that you have asked this question. Because in my current role also, I really had to explain to the people that this is more than just being an online part of the world. Like blended is something we need to talk about more. Hybrid is something we need to talk about more. In the industry, in the recent years, I'm seeing that we are more inclined to learning tools. Authoring tools is becoming our focus areas, whereas we are not concentrating on workshops. We are not talking about how a facilitator takes up the workshop and how you can design the learning plans for it, how you can design the supplementary materials, the supporting materials that the facilitator is going to use in maybe in a Zoom or in a live classroom. Either ways. So that is quite an essential part of it. So, I really always look into this aspect. So currently where I'm working my primary role, I try and ensure that the materials that I'm creating, can be used with some tweaks, of course, can be used in a classroom setup where you have face-to-face happening, training session happening, can be used as in the workshop. Some of the core elements of it can actually be digitized and given them as supplementary learn anywhere, anytime kind of learning.
Mhm. So the advantage with WBTs or any self-paced modules is that like we see on even these Coursera or Udemy, there are thousands of learners. So do you think that the blended learning will work even in such huge scale?
Yes, of course, blended learning should come into the picture because, see, from my personal experience, I tell you, I joined loads of Coursera courses, Udemy courses, and many, many, many of them. I don't want to name each and every one of them,
Yeah.
but I give up in between. I really give up.
Yeah.
As an adult learner, I need that interaction with the other person. Social learning is very, very crucial for me.
Yes.
I know there are discussion forums. I understand there are other aspects of it. But if they have 1 hour of synchronized live session, immediately I'll do my homework and I'll come and attend that 1 hour live session.
Yeah.
The cohort type of things.
Yeah.
Because in a MOOC, you are lost.
Yeah.
As a learner, I don't want to be somebody who is lost.
Yeah.
Unless I'm highly motivated. For example, I need a degree. Whatever happens, I need this degree to move on. Whatever material you put in front of me, I will learn it on my own in any manner.
Yeah.
I'll pass the exam and I'll move ahead.
Yeah.
If I'm not highly motivated, I'm just learning it for the fun, then I lose my track.
Yeah.
So blended learning should be incorporated in some or the other way.
So when you say some or the other way, could you name some of the ways?
Example, I just took the example that I took a live 1 hour session or a half an hour session would really make a difference.
Yeah.
For example, I went through a workshop. Maybe you divide me into small cohorts.
Yeah.
You give 6 or 7 people in the cohort.
Yeah.
And let me go and get back to my cohort. Let's have a discussion, what we learned, how we implemented it, and move to the next module or the next part in the training program.
Yeah. Very interesting thoughts for somebody who is new to the field. This is all very, you have given so many ideas to pursue and think more about.
Thank you.
So, what is the most crucial thing to succeed as an ID?
Yeah, very good. So let me throw it out over there. Everybody knows about it, but the field of instructional designing is very consuming job. Please be aware about that. It's not something you just come and pass by. If you start analyzing a content of something, even if you have shut down your laptop, it keeps rotating in your head. You go sit and watch a movie and suddenly, the storyline is something very different and you are like, this transition works for my course. I'm going to use it. Or this transition works for the training program that I'm going to incorporate. This is a good scenario to use. You're always getting inspired and influenced by that. So be prepared to be consumed by a field of this. So unless you're passionate about it, choose to be in this. Be open to hard work. There are many times you have to really, really put in a lot of hard work because understanding a content which is not really you. Like, for example, if all of a sudden a master's in chemistry is given a content from the telecom industry, obviously it will require a lot of work from my part to actually understand that content. I am not telling that you need to become a subject matter expert, but you need to put together some pieces of context around it. Many times you're asked to convert videos of classroom sessions, the face-to-face sessions, into some form of learning experiences. Now, those videos can be of 4 hours because there are half-day training sessions, 8-hour training sessions. They can be enormous amount of it.
Mhm.
You need to figure out a way to do that, be prepared to do that hard work of going through those videos. I mean, you can do it smartly. Like I run most of the videos in 1.5x speed, and I try to listen to them. And when something core comes, I stop, pause it, and make it flow in the shorter form. Or I take the help from my developers who convert them into transcript and give it to them so that I can quickly scan through the content. But be prepared, be open to prepared for hard work. Uh, you have to be open to learning. Don't get overwhelmed by new concepts, new topics. There is a learning curve in the beginning of every project that you're going to have. So be prepared for it. And once you get into the instructional designing field, let me tell you, you will love every bit of it. You will love it to the core.
So a lot of our viewers, they want to get started in freelancing. So what would you suggest they do as their first step?
Um, See, in my opinion, for me, getting into freelancing was easy because I had full-time experience.
Mhm.
I actually worked in product houses. Like when I say product houses, like we had training programs which we were building certification courses for the products that were in-house,
Mhm.
like the universities that you have within the corporates.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so in that kind of scenario, you are already aware about the processes, you know a bit of the learners that you are looking at. You are very comfortable with the content, the context, the way the entire project will flow in from start to finish.
Mhm.
That becomes an advantageous for you.
Mhm.
um, Having said that, as a newbie, also you can get into instructional designing world, uh, but then I think you need to do a lot of homework. You know, uh, look for mentors, look for people in the industry who are ready to help you, look for internship projects. Try and find ways and means that you can actually get hands-on experience into doing some things,
Mhm.
you know. So try and figure out, join, like we are part of the Slack group in the freelancing world. If you ask a question, everybody is ready to help you. If you want your work to be reviewed by somebody, everybody is ready to be there for you. Try and come up with these things. I mean, it's not dropping those names of the ID methodologies or the ID words. Just don't do that. Try and see how you can implement each one of them,
Mhm.
you know. And once you start doing that, be prepared to just roll on.
Yes. So what would be your message for those who want to become IDs, those who are new IDs, and those who are experienced IDs?
What will, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I lost you.
Your message for aspirational, new, and experienced IDs.
My message, as I told you, the critical skills of an ID, please be open to learning. Please be open to consumed by the field of instructional designing. Be open to hard work. You will enjoy every bit of it, let me tell you. And be prepared to actually see something coming to life, what you've done. Um, and to the experienced people, I would like to say, please help as much as possible to the people who are just joining the industry, the nascent IDs. Because in our times, we also had the privilege of being helped by others. Like in NIT KSB, in eMind, if my managers, my seniors did not mentor and help me, I wouldn't have been in the place that I have been. So be prepared to take out some time of your busy schedule and try and help each other in as much as possible. Please keep sharing the learnings that you have derived. Just put it out over there. You don't know who will come across it and who will learn. In whatever stage of instructional designing world you are, you're always on the learning. You always are at a stage where you are trying to acquire more and more knowledge. You want to see how people look and treat different aspects of knowledge. Every time you look at something and you're like, oh yeah, I could do it this way. Why didn't I think about it? So please keep sharing, keep mentoring, and to the newbies, please be open to learning. If some editor gives you some comment, don't take it personally. At the end of the day, everybody is trying that the end product is of higher quality. That can only be done by a collaborative environment. Be prepared to accept their inputs. Be open to learning. I'll reiterate myself: hard work, learning, perseverance. Please be open to everything and be open to be consumed by this awesome field of instructional design.
We have some audience questions. Ranjit is asking, how is the ID activity or experience now when compared to when you began?
That's a very difficult thing to actually compare with each other. Because when I began, I was a very nascent person. I had absolutely no clue. I had been teaching in classrooms, but I never could understand the idea of how somebody who is not present is still teaching you. It's a virtual teaching part of it. So that awareness has actually developed. I've understood what is it to analyze the learners, which was not present in the early beginning. I never realized what it means to be learner-centric information and knowledge about it. And now I understand and I value why learner analysis is important. I need to tweak and ensure that the experiences are designed for the learners and not based on the assumptions that I'm making. So in a way, it has widened my thought process. I am still grappling with trying to avoid coming up with those assumptions in various fields. I'm still grappling to understand why the client wants what they want. How do I align the output with the client's requirements? So those areas have definitely improved or widened for me. Thank you for asking the question. It actually gave me a thought also to evaluate where I've reached. I hope I was able to answer it to satisfaction.
Again, another question from Ranjit. How to overcome the challenge of reduced attention span of learners? What strategy can be adopted for developing an engaging content?
See, I beg to disagree over here of this goldfish phenomena of reduced time, right? So we have these, if you see any, I mean, beyond instructional designing, if you see any world, sometimes some session which is just like a short one, like a 10-minute video may not work. And a 2-hour video is working. In Netflix, if you see, there are seasons and seasons of series and we are glued to it. I believe the Big Bang Theory, there were 12 seasons to it and I watched from start to the finish. And I couldn't even I won't name the shows, but there are some shows where I couldn't even go beyond one point of learning. So the attention span of the individual, I don't think so, is dependent on the context that you're setting.
Mm.
Why are they learning? What's in it for me, for the learners?
Mm.
If you start to answer these questions,
Mm.
how do they want to learn? If you know these three things, it doesn't matter for the duration of the experience that you are designing.
Mhm.
I will be more than happy to go for 6 years, 7 years, even to learn something if it is building into my knowledge, my learning base,
Mm.
right? And if something which just doesn't gel with me, I'm going to give it up in 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
So again, I would reiterate, think from the perspective of the learner. It will give you an idea about how and what will make their attention into the content.
Mm.
So if you start answering the basic questions, I know I'm repeating over here, but why are they learning? What's in it for them? And how are they going to learn it and use it?
Mm.
If you can answer these basic questions,
Mm.
you can build any kind of learning experience which will engage them irrespective of the duration of the learning experience.
Mhm. Mhm. So when you do these kind of analysis and then develop the course, do you have any method of evaluating yourself, any checklist that you follow? So how do you ensure that you have reached what you wanted to reach?
In terms of the entire learning experience development,
Yes. Have you reached your goal? How do you evaluate that?
I don't really have a checklist.
Yes.
I think it's just the interaction between you and the clients, which actually gives you a feel of how the project is moving ahead.
Mhm.
Whether it is getting implemented in the manner that it is expected to be implemented.
Mm.
Apart from that, I have never used a checklist. I need to go back and think about it. Probably at some other point, I'll be able to get back to you with the answer to this question.
Yeah.
I understand this is a live interview, but still.
A lot of times maybe you do it, but you're not fully aware that you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a very good valid point. I believe that could be something, but as an instructional designer, I need to go back and do my homework and come out with it. Thank you for giving me one homework.
It's been a really great experience learning from so many insightful tips from you. So thank you for your time. And yeah, I think we have reached the end of the audience questions as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Suchitra. Thanks a lot for having me here. I look forward to your other sessions and all the best for it.
Thank you, and wish you all the best for your the teaching plan as well.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing your time. Sorry for the technical glitches in between. And thanks
But
again.
I think these technical glitches are part and parcel of our world, and we are back.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you so much, Suchitra.
Thank you, Reema. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your weekend with us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Bye.